विचारणैकनिपुणः सद्धर्म संस्थापकः लोकानां हितकारिणः त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं करौ विचारणैकनिपुणः सद्धर्म संस्थापकः लोकानां हितकारिणः त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se Gaur Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Girivardhan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hey, Saha.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Good to see you.
All obeisances.
All glories to great Deva, glories to Shri Prabhupada, all glories to you. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Can we start?
Yeah, I think the devotees will be coming. We are quite opposite. It's often said when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. The teacher appeared and the student is not ready yet. So,
well, it's okay.
Yeah, okay. So I'll go ahead and put the verse on the screen.
Okay.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Saha. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, we can hear you.
So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 11, Text 30. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Naruttamam Devim Saraswati Yatsatato Jaya Mudire Nastrapayesa Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavaitina Istiki. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 11, Text 30. Atta Visat Swabhavanam Sarvakamam Anutamam Prasadayatra Pratninam Sahasrani Chasudasa. Word for word translation. Atta, thereafter, Avisat entered Swabhavanam, personal palaces, Sarva, all, Kaman, desires, Anutamam, perfect to the fullest extent, Prasadaha, palaces, Yatra, where, Patninam, of the wives, numbering, Sahasrani, thousands, Cha, over and above, Sudasa, 16. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace is Confirmed Acharya Srila Bhajana Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Thereafter, the Lord entered his palaces, which were perfect to the fullest extent. His wives lived in them, and they numbered over 16,000. Purport. Lord Krishna has 16,108 wives, and for each and every one of them, there was a fully equipped palace, complete with necessary compounds and gardens. Full description of these palaces is given in the 10th canto. All the palaces were made of the best marble stone. They were illuminated by jewels and decorated by curtains and carpets of velvet and silk, nicely bedecked and embroidered with gold lace. The personality of Godhead means one who is full with all power, all energy, all opulences, all beauties, all knowledge, and all renunciation. Therefore, in the palaces of the Lord, there was nothing wanting for fulfilling all desires of the Lord. The Lord is unlimited, and therefore his desires are also unlimited. And the supply is also unlimited. Everything being unlimited, it is concisely described here as sarva kamam, or full with all desirable equipment. Omagana Timarandasya, Gananjana Salakaya, Saksor Militam, Yena Tasmai, Si Guruvinam. Chichetam and Obistam, Safi Tam Jena Putale, Swayam Rupam Kadamaya, Dadati Swa, Padantikam. Vanja Kalpatari Byacha, Kripasuna Byacha, Patitam Pravanabio, Vaishnavibio Namonam. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Katara, Sila Sari, Sigur Bhakti. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale, Semate Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Itinamani. Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pracharini, Nirvasesa Sunyabadi, Pachatya Disatari. So welcome to another exchanges based on spiritual devotional philosophy, devotional culture of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, this text is specifically giving us some insight about Krishna returning from abroad. You know, when someone travels abroad, when the breadwinner of the house travels abroad, and you know, he's being expected to return. The wife and the children, they've been meditating about his return, that auspicious day. So here, Lord Krishna, he really set the ball rolling. He set a very good example about family affairs, family relationship. So when he was returning to Dwarka from his overseas travel, because of the war of Kurukshetra, he's been away for a while. And so now he's coming back. And as he entered Dwarka, you know, everyone is like in a state of favorable frenzy. You know, when you're expecting someone that is very dear to you, that is very close to you at heart, you're very restless in a sense, and you're so much motivated with enthusiasm and that serenity of purpose that streams through your heart is unimaginable. So these are the queens of Lord Krishna. Keep in mind that Krishna had, in the proper mentions also in the purport here in the very first sentence, now Krishna had 16,108 wives. So sometimes people who do not know the spiritual undertone of these many wives, they tend to miscue or misinterpret the social culture of Krishna. Keep in mind, this is Vedic sociology because it has to do with dealings in society, dealings amongst humans, and relationships. So it's in Vedic literature, you have everything. You have astronomy, you have medicine, you have historiography, you have what to think of, anything that you can think of. So this very chapter is a sociology chapter. So here we see how Lord Krishna, having returned from his trip, he entered into his palaces. But how does he enter? How did he enter his palaces? Here is one Krishna, and he has 16,108 wives. So Prabhupada mentions that he automatically expanded into 16,108 forms, and entered those palaces simultaneously and separately. So we see that his ability to keep 16,108 wives cannot be challenged because he's equal to the task. He's equal to the social, economic, and managerial tasks that defeats such a situation. So here, for the first time, that we're beginning to understand, for the first time in history, that someone expanded into 16,108 wives. So Prabhupada queried that 16,108 wives, I think in the next purport, Prabhupada queried 16,108 wives. That's nothing. Krishna should expand, should have, 60 million. 60 million wives, 60 million wives, because he can equally expand. He can expand into any number that he so desires, and the condition so warrants. And so, when people marry to maintain one wife, it's just a big problem. And we understand that even out of these 16,108 wives, he had 8 principal wives, or the 8 original wives, because the 16,100 wives that came up eventually was due to a situation where Narakasura had kidnapped some girls and kept them in captive for a long time. And in a Vedic culture, a girl is not supposed to stay out of her parents' home for even one night. Otherwise, she will not have a man who will come to solicit for a hand in marriage. So when this incident transpired, these girls, they were very helpless. And it was only Krishna who helped out the situation. He went to fight with Narakasura, killed Narakasura, and released all of those 16,108 captives of this demon. He put them in a cave. And you see that this is kidnapping of girls that we find in today's world. I remember just a couple of years ago, some people had kidnapped how many girls in Nigeria in the Middle Belt or something like that. So many of them, and it attracted uproar in the whole world. But they were not 16,000. Narakasura alone kidnapped 16,108 or 100. Those ones were a group of military people, military people, anti-government forces who came to kidnap those girls. And it attracted a whole negative reaction from the whole world. Bring our girls, bring our girls, bring our girls. I don't know what really transpired with that situation, but the case of these girls with Narakasura is documented. Krishna released them. Krishna went to fight Narakasura, annihilated him, and released these girls. So after releasing the 16,100 captives, and Krishna asked them to go back to their homes, the girls wouldn't budge, because the whole situation was such that if they go, where will they go? Because they can't go back to their parents' homes after staying away for that length of time. So they explicate their predicament to Krishna, and that's why Krishna salvaged the situation by marrying these 16,100 girls who were originally kidnapped and kept in captivity by Narakasura. So, just a single person went to remedy the situation. The girls who were abducted, who were kidnapped from a school in the plateau area of Nigeria, even the whole government came came searching for them to be able to get them released from their captors, but nothing really tangible happened. Here, just one Krishna was able to, release these 16,100 girls. So, what the whole country couldn't do, just Krishna single-handedly did it. And the number of girls is far greater, far more than what you can think of in modern history of people being, we never hear in modern history of people kept in captive, 16,000 people kept in captive, and a single person comes to release them, defeated the captor, and release those victims.
Excuse Maharaj, somehow you are muted. We cannot hear your audio. Hare Krishna, I think we lost Maharaj. Okay, he'll be back. He's back. Maharaj, you will have to unmute, please. Okay, good.
But what happened that it just went off?
Yeah. Okay, you're back.
So, the miracles that people are looking for to have their faiths fixated in a particular faith, there are so many of them demonstrated by Lord Krishna. And so if people could just take advantage of those amazing leelas, that will facilitate consolidated faith in the system of devotion or system of worship of the Lord. Because all of these things, Krishna lives in Govardhan Hill, Krishna killing some demons and releasing 16,100 girls from Narakasura's captivity. This is something very unheard of. And so something unheard of means that is miraculous. Now, Krishna has come back to Dwarka, and he expands himself into 16,108 plenary expansions, just to be able to make himself available for each and every of the queens. And these queens, they have their gigantic palaces. It's not that, they build one big house and then one wife to one room. No. Their palaces. So, why is it so easy for Krishna to do this? Because he is the absolute truth. He is the possessor of all opulences. He is the be-all and end-all. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is the utmost figure that you can think about. And so he can do anything and everything. So why not? So those who do not understand, they miscue. And even this marriage, with Rukmini alone, Krishna had, 10 sons. I think 10 sons and one daughter also. Yeah, so each and every wife, he had like 10 children. You calculate that. Calculate how many children. So bottom line is that Krishna set a very good example for us, a good standard for us. You can marry and have a perfect execution of your duties. You can marry and be married. And in most cases, when people are in partnership, they function better. Not the one of subjugation and abuse, but in real social partnership, like a social contract in marriage. And in some cases, they function better. So Krishna basically provided shelter for these 16,100 girls by accepting them in hand for marriage. What could be more comfortable for a girl than being stranded? You see, sometimes people don't seem to understand. When girls are of marriageable age, their anxiety knows no bound. And so not only were they of marriageable age, but they were captives. So the anxiety basically was unimaginable. So even after being released from their captivity, they were still in anxiety because, the wealth of a woman is a husband, a nice husband. And the wealth of marriage is a child. And so these are the things that basically the social norms drive people to be able to develop a family. Just getting married is not enough. You have to have people around you. So Krishna had all of that. He had children from all of these his wives. And so Rukmini, in the case of Rukmini, he even kidnapped Rukmini from the marriage ceremony. Rukmini was to be married to Susupa. Rukmini's brother wanted to marry her to Susupa, but then Rukmini solicited for Krishna to kidnap her. And don't just think that, oh, Krishna married Rukmini by kidnapping. Let me also go and kidnap some girl. That's not allowed. There are certain things that are not practicable now. They're not practiced. Marriage by kidnapping. It's not practiced these days. I mean, it's just like when you hear, I remember some time ago when I was in Florida, one lawyer asked me a question. He's the GBC. He asked me a question about some of the statements in the Manu Samhita. I can't remember what they precisely asked, like, maybe cutting the tongue of a blasphemer. So I said, no, you cannot do that in this present dispensation. There are other things that you can do, but you can't do that because then you become like a Sharia that the whole world is against. So the laws in the Manu Samhita, some of the rules, some of the injunctions are like Sharia laws. So Krishna, he has proved himself beyond reasonable doubt that he is the supreme personality of God, that he can expand ordinary human beings, ordinary mystics, humans who are perfected in their mystic development. They can expand. The perfect mystic can expand into 10 folds. This according to Prabhupada, again in the next part. But Krishna can expand into billions of forms, billions of plenary portions. And that's why he's called Yogeshwar. He's the controller of all mystic, of all yogic powers, of all mystic powers. So even those who want to be mystical, they can worship Krishna. Why not?
Maharaj lost his audio again. I think he's having issues with internet connection. Okay. He's back.
Okay, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Maharaj.
All right. Your video is...
Yeah, your video. Okay, good. You're back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so Prabhupada also mentions that he quoted Jagyavalkya's injunctions regarding how a wife should, the behavioral patterns of a wife when the husband is away. So the wife is not supposed to go to even a relative's home, a relative's house, when the husband is away. Injunctions from the Jagyavalkya were they're very strict. A wife should always appear very nicely decorated and ever be joyous before the husband. In other words, the wife should make the husband. The wife should be able to have that type of aesthetics that motivates the husband to be happy. You may ask the questions, what about vice versa? What about the husband? It's the same thing. So, husband and wife, they're supposed to facilitate the happiness of each other. And the Jagavalkya, it specifically mentioned that this enhances a sustainable and happy marriage. Wife should be clean when coming to, should be clean before the husband, should be neat, nicely dressed. And sometimes before the marriage, all these things go on. The women, they dress very nicely. The men also, they dress very nicely. But when they're married for after a couple of years, then, people don't care about their bodies again to maintain that type of vibrancy that attracts the partner. So, but that is something like concocted idea, because according to the Jagavalkya, the opposite is the case. That's the system should be, the cultural aesthetic should be maintained consistently. So we have to understand how marriage helps to build society, because from marriage, children are born, and the children are the leaders of the future. And so marriage is the enabler of even the future sustainability. Without marriage, how are we going to have children? I mean, I came in my uncle here, I just met one boy. His father is proper disciple, and actually his father, we did Bhakti at the same time. So that time he was small, but when I came now, he's become a big guy, and he's got a master's in law, and he's having some good position at the TOVP. So he saw me, he saw me today when I was going to the Samadhi, and he was so excited. He came to me and was saying, he wants to work with me. I said, I'm going to the Samadhi, so what's up? He said, that's where that's along the way where his office is. So, but then the point is, so vibrant kids are needed in society. And he's so much interested. He has a very balanced life of sadhana, and has the privilege of good education, and he's helping out with the TOVP project as the legal consultant. So we need families that will help to boost the society, boost ISKCON for a future sustainable development. And so it is important for devotees to understand that marriages help society to make a positive difference. And just like Krishna had come back to Dwarka, and the whole of Dwarka, they are in ecstasy, especially his immediate family, the wives. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions how, and when the wives saw Krishna coming, there were some psychological impediments. And one of the psychological impediments was shyness. Sometimes the wife wants to show that type of love and affection, but if it's in the public, they feel shy. So even the wives of Lord Krishna, when Krishna came back to Dwarka, now their ecstasy was somehow initially impeded by shyness, but somehow or the other, they were able to conquer that, and they had a very good reception for Krishna, and both parties, they settled down for, again, a normal rejuvenation of their social lives. So social life, we can't run away from social life. And marriage is the foundation of social life. It's a matter of people understanding what are their needs, what are their social needs, economic needs, and basic domestic values that should be maintained. So Krishna set a very good example for his worshippers, his followers. And so if we have a tendency to think that marriage is something that is not ordained, then we should think otherwise right now, because the Lord we worship has 16,000 wives, 16,108 wives. But nobody should think that, oh, because Krishna has 16,108 wives, I also need 3 wives or 4 wives. I may not be able to get 16,000 wives, but maybe I need 3 or 4 wives. Again, it's not allowed. So, bottom line is that we have 1 wife and some few kids, and it's so challenging to deal with that. It's so difficult to maintain. To train these kids in Krishna consciousness, it's just such a big challenge. So we have to understand our status, what we stand for, what our liabilities are, what we think we will be able to do to be able to help with the development of the society, and how we can be more appreciative of what the spiritual masters and Srila Prabhupada have given to us. So this is December, and December means that, marathon. So here, I think I was just coming from Temple Room. I meant this Swami, Maharaj in charge of Sankirtan, and he said, well, I need a blessing, because we have to distribute so many Bhagavad Gitas this month. Yeah, so they just finished. They just had a meeting to strategize how to be able to meet the mark. 2.5 million Bhagavad Gitas to be distributed. That's not a joke, but it is possible with Krishna's mercy. So we have to understand that our mission, we are missionaries, and our mission is based on a reading culture, a book distribution culture. We have all come to this movement, somehow or other, through Prabhupada's books. And so we should also be willing to be able to make some sacrifice to make the books available for other people who have not been opportune to, to be in our company or to read Prabhupada's books. And so this is a very good period to make some arrangements in terms of, if you have some friends and relatives who can sponsor Bhagavad Gitas and other books, this is the best time to be able to make the connections, consolidate the connections, so that it could be part of the results of the marathon. So the whole idea is such that Krishna is the one who is the fountainhead of our movement. He has set very practical examples for us. Our movement is growing and it's becoming more and more variegated. And so we have to think of how to be able to streamline our efforts in gearing towards creating a viable future. So our social culture should be such that we don't think of any other thing than how to be able to satisfy Krishna. Even in marriages, we don't think of any other thing other than to be able to satisfy Krishna. Whatever we do, Krishna mentions. And Above all, the wives of Lord Krishna, what is their exceptional quality? They are always thinking of Krishna. Even when Krishna was away, they were always in trance, in meditation, thinking about it. This is the nature of a devotee. And this is what Krishna requires of a devotee. Man mana bhava ma. So, but that's not a joke. To always think of Krishna is not a joke. And so we have to see how we are engaging ourselves in different activities to be able to please the Lord, please the spiritual master, and walk in harmony so that we are able to integrate our spiritual life with our social needs. Once we set that ball rolling, it becomes something that is practicable, that we can just spontaneously do whatever that is required to be able to push on the movement. And the young people who are around, we have to see how we are empowering them to be able to hold on to the reins of power, because we're not going to be there for the whole time. Some of us are old enough to die, and we should be able to empower the young people, the young devotees, to do what is needful to push on with the movement, while we are always there to be able to facilitate their needs. So Lord Krishna basically says a very dynamic system of execution and planning. He went out and then he comes back and is there to give quality time to his family. So don't say, well, I'm too busy with Krishna, with service, I'm too busy with pujari work, I'm too busy with Sankirtan, and I don't even have time for my family. You're too busy, then you don't have time for your family, then you don't need a wife, you don't need a spouse, you don't need a husband. The Prabhupada said that the children are Krishna's children, and so we have to give our quality time to our children. So, any comments or questions?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Well, I think this is a very beautiful class for all of us, but more particularly for those of us who are grihastas. So we better know how to deal with our family lives. Okay, Ganga Prasad Prabhu, you may unmute and ask your question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, obeisances are too sweet, all glory to Guru and Gauranga. Obeisances are a lot too sweet. Just in the first place, I'm registering my presence before Your Majesty. Also, to complement the lecture, one of the striking things in the lecture is that you spoke so much about marriage, man, woman, household life, even in the garb of a sannyasi. So I begin to wonder, what is the source of your materials? But then you spoke very well. My question is, in the course of your lecture, you mentioned that a good husband is the wealth of a woman, and a good wife also is the wealth of a man or husband. Also, you mentioned that unmarried women, they have so much of anxiety, especially when you were referring to the 16,100 women that were kidnapped. So my question is based on sociology of our institution. If husband is the wealth of a woman, and then unmarried women have so much of anxiety, the population of the women in the world, and even in our institution, is more than that of the men. And so what about the women who don't have husbands and are not likely to get husband? And they are in so much of anxiety. And you ended by saying the wives of Krishna were always thinking of Krishna. How can these girls be consistent in thinking of Krishna?
Nice question, Ganga Prabhu. Yeah. So let me just again back up my statement with some practical incident that transpired at University of Ibadan some time ago when Pritu was there. he had a friend, one of his colleagues, who was also a professor, and so there was one PhD student, a female. So she came to that guy's apartment to collect a book, and something transpired. I think they were commending her for her hard work. She said, "What's the use of the hard work? I'm going to graduate. I'm going to finish my PhD soon, but there's no husband." So yeah, that is just one backup, a practical example, and I've seen a number of cases like that. Some people who were even close to me. Sometimes you have to be in a position to be able to also see how you can help them by pointing out some strategies on how to be able to hook up with a man, etc. So yeah, the question they ask people, the ladies who are not fortunate to have a husband, how are they going to be able to think of Krishna like the queens of Krishna think about him all the time? Yeah, it's a matter of Lord Krishna mentions in the Gita regarding Arjuna's question about how to be able to function. He said by practice. One of the things he mentioned is by practicing detachment. Now, for the devotees, not only the wives of Krishna, a pure devotee is always in meditation. And so the women, I've seen cases where some women, they don't have a husband and they excel in their devotional service like anything. Because Krishna becomes their husband, they don't have any nags, they don't have anything to worry about. Keep in mind that in a marriage, when women get married, if they're very staunch brahmacharians, if they get married, their devotional values also change a little bit because it becomes divided. One part to the husband, one part to Krishna. So, in a sense, if a female is not able to have a spouse, they should see Krishna as their husband and practice how to become a perfected soul by constantly engaging themselves in devotional service. And I've seen cases like that in our movement. Those women who are not married, they're very much on a spiritual progress because they're not thinking of anything else. They don't think about children. They don't think about bills and all those things. And the whole focus is just on performing devotional service and then moving, forging ahead. So they have to practice how the pure devotees practice by constantly thinking of Krishna, constantly engaging in service. By so doing, the mind will become fixated on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Gangaji, does it make some sense?
A lot of sense, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Bhakti Vedanta Youth, you may unmute and ask your question, please.
It must have a name. The person must have a name. That's an organization.
It's Sukadev Goswami. Sukadev Goswami Das.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare
Please
Krishna.
forgive me. I'm not able to turn on my video because I'm driving, but I had a pressing question. based on
Okay.
the discussion on the lecture you were giving. Thank you very, very much for the wonderful lecture, Maharaj. In the context of your lecture, you spoke about having children that are responsible, able to contribute properly to the movement. And you gave a story. You gave an analogy, a story in regards to your friend whose son is a lawyer and is contributing. Is using his legal knowledge to contribute to the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. Now, it has been, it's from my personal observations and seeing, most often when it concerns having children and raising children up in Krishna consciousness, majority of us, we feel to just raise up the child means to put the child in a gurukul, to make the child be a good kirtanya. It should sing kirtan, and by being just renounced and all of this is how we are able to give a good fortune to the child. But also when we say, okay, let us educate the child to university and to have a good qualification, we also see that when the child gets to that point of having good qualification, mingling with the people outside, the child's mind is divided. It's not able to stick, truly to Krishna consciousness, because he also wants to experience life and is making money, is having good education. Now, there's always a division of thought here for me. Like, how do I raise up my child in a balanced Krishna conscious way, whereby he has his educational material qualifications, he has his money, and also he doesn't lose his faith in Krishna consciousness? This is my question, Maharaj.
Okay. So it's a simple thing, and we have seen that practical example. See, Vara Prabhu also raised Yogi. He sent him to school. So, and the boy is doing pretty well. I remember the first time I met that boy in India. At that time, he just he's finished his first degree and he came to India. I met him somewhere. I just told him like a madman, hey, you go for your master's. I think he got his master's. He's married and he's settled. So there are good examples of also people that parents are devotees. They were born in the movement, and they had balanced. They had the fortune or the privilege of good education and practice of sadhana. So when we have kids, we have to also figure out what does the kid want? Do they want? You can't force education on every child. Do they want to go for studies? I mean, it's like even here in Mayapur, the international school, some of these boys, when they graduate from there, they're going to university to study and all these things. And then they come back and they are being useful to their communities. So the whole idea is that we have to understand that even the Upanishads emphasize how we need nations and science side by side. We need to cultivate nations and science side by side. In other words, professional development and devotional culture side by side. In fact, if the kids are not trained, if they don't have skills, and it doesn't necessarily mean that every child has to go for higher degrees, but the basic skills that they need to be able to fend for themselves should be there. Otherwise, we are creating a situation or a community, a society that will not have a balance effect, because we have a number of people who come point accusing fingers at you, saying that you are the cause of your suffering. So yeah, when we have children, we have to understand the educational needs of the children. Education basically means material and spiritual. In the beginning, in our society, we were training. Some of the places the emphasis has been on, like what you said, training the children in Gurukul and emphasizing just only on that. But then when they finish from Gurukul, they are up to a particular age. I even know of one girl who was also trained in the Gurukul system, but she's a medical doctor now in the US. You know, she went ahead to study. So the bottom line is that we have to see the needs of the children and see whether they are Brahmanically oriented, they have cultured intelligence, they have high potential values for higher learning before we try to engage them. We should not think that, well, this person has trained his child in university. I mean, I'm also going to do that for my child. Everyone cannot go to a university to have a degree. Not everyone has that type of that type of energy. It's not always so easy. Some people, they can do develop some type of skills to be able to fend for themselves and cultivate the Krishna consciousness in a very practical way. So bottom line is that we have to figure out what is best for the child. And sometimes consultation with the child has to be there. I know of one family, was asking about their kid. And then they said that, she's just doing some services at the temple. And because, she can't really read, she's not very intelligently competitive. She does not have competitive advantage in terms of intelligence. So we have to see what the child can do also, instead of forcing things that we perceive to be good on the child. And then I've seen lots of cases where people send the children to the university. I know of some cases in the US. People send the children to the university. They want them to go and do a particular course, go and do medicine. Okay, if that is so easy, why didn't you do medicine? Huh? Why are you forcing on the child? Because you want the child to go and do medicine and then become very rich, and then you just sit back to enjoy it. But if the brain is so easy, I've seen a case where a child was in a new Ivy League at the top universities in the US. A child got admission into an Ivy League. The parents wanted the child to do a particular course, and she has to change her program 2 or 3 times. Otherwise, she would have failed out. So we should allow the child to make a choice in terms of learning. If they make a choice in terms of what they want to study, then it gives them, that creates self-motivation for their learning, so that they don't blame anybody when there is some shortfall. So consult with your child as they're growing up about what they intend to do. If some children, they already have some plans, even outside of devotional culture. I remember when we were kids, parents asked, because some of the families, there were a lot of educators, and they constantly will ask you, what type of life you want to live? What do you want to be? You want to be an engineer? You want to be a doctor? You want to be what? And sometimes people have this type of high-profile projections, and they don't have the brain, and then they get frustrated. So we have to see what is a practical situation that will sustain my child. We have to be parents who are practical in terms of caring and loving. And when the child comes to a particular age, say 11, the modus operandi and modus vivendi of the child care has to change. You don't bully a 11 years old or 10 years old child like the way you treat a 2 years old child. So, all of these things are there. I remember I was talking about these things in one trip I went into the Western United States. And, some people were coming to ask me whether I've written books about this. I said, no, I have not written books about it, but I've studied these things, and these things are not available in our movement. And, people are suffering. Children are suffering. Parents are suffering because we don't have the facilities to be able to create that transformative change. So it's a good question that you asked, but essentially, we have to see how we are working together with our children to provide their needs for the future. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. I'm very grateful.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the elaborate answer. Maharaj, we know you are quite late over there in India. There are a few hands up. Do you have?
I'm not complaining. You can ask a question.
Oh, okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Prabhuji, please excuse me. Let me ask one question and then I'll come back to you. Maharaj, I have this question. In the Christian teachings, Lord Jesus Christ taught that even though something is bound to happen, but woe betides the very person who makes himself the medium for the thing if it's bad to happen. For example, the Christians believe that they are saved because of the blood of Christ. Now, if Judas Iscariot had not betrayed Christ, Christ would not have been crucified. And if Christ had not been crucified, his blood would not have been able to save the Christians. Now, these wives, 16,100 wives of Krishna, were captured by this demon, Narakasura. Yeah. Now, these women, because they were captured by this demon, they had the opportunity to become the wives of Krishna. Now, does the demon also get any punya for capturing these women, and these women finally being married to by Krishna? Just as like when one becomes a devotee, the parents also get some benefit. So this is just like, whether the demon also got any benefit because from him capturing the women, they were married to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Saha, you see, this very scenario of the Bhagavatam has a deeper understanding, a deeper revelation in some other Goswami's writing. So we don't want to go into that so that people don't get confused.
Okay, I agree with you.
But essentially, these so-called captives, they are all, in fact, in the next text, Papa stipulates or mentioned in the purport that all of these wives of Krishna, 16,108 wives, they are incarnations of Goddess Lakshmi. It's a lila. And so when people, those who read theater arts, when they are on stage, people take different positions, different roles, they play different roles. And after the whole activity, the whole play, they get back to their normal selves or their normal situations. So this very lila basically is like a theatrical performance. So Krishna is performing all of these leelas to be able to attract the minds of the conditioned souls, especially all social issues, to be able to attract the minds of the conditioned souls, because we want to hear things about love. And so Krishna deliberately enacted all these, pastimes so that we can absorb ourselves, at the same time purify ourselves when we are reminiscing all of this type of pastimes regarding what the benefits of Narakasura. Krishna killed Narakasura, so he got liberated. So automatically got liberated.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Ganga Prabhu, you may unmute. And then we go to Prema Samputa.
Maharaj, I'm sorry that I'm coming back again.
No, sorry.
Okay, thank you. My input is regarding Prabhu Sukadev's question on child upbringing. And I was introspecting on the other side of child upbringing, taking credence from my own personal example. When I was a little younger, my father had approved that I become a priest instead of my elder brother, who is the first son. My dad said, elder sons don't become priests. They have to continue the family lineage. But you can become a priest. And when I came back from India, my dad discovered that I am a Hare Krishna. He said, what is this? I said, Daddy, you approved that I become a priest. He said, not this type. So, taking credence from this, you see that we may have good designs or good thoughts for our children, but when they grow up, they take certain decisions. Like Prabhupada's children, they did not become like regular devotees. And case in point also, Ugrasena had cancer, and cancer toppled the father. The king's concept and approach or expectation from the son is different. King Vina's father was a very saintly person, and Vina was just some of that issue. And so there comes a time when the father the father or the parents, they have expectation and the children are going the other side. They become very frustrated. Vina's father had to sneak out from the house in the night. So what should be our attitude when we have done our maximum best and the children are not responding?
Yeah, that's a nice query, Ganga Prabhu. So we do our very best, and the very best should begin from the very start of the relationship, the very beginning of the relationship. Now, talking about Kamsa was not a bona fide child of his father. Kamsa was born through another person who more or less like got captivated by the mom and then changed into the husband to come and pollute it. That's how he became. She became impregnated with cancer. And those type of situations are a little bit rare. And when we have to give directives, special directives, and you see the whole thing about raising a child is very challenging, very, very challenging. So when we expect, or when we even give instruction to the child, and the child wants to execute that instruction, like the case of like Ganga you mentioned about, when a child wants to execute the instruction, and then that is a little bit regarding the details is different from the expectation of the parents, and then they tend to react. And now, as far as child upbringing is concerned, we should start to meditate about that, beginning from Gabadhan Samskara. Because if we plan ahead before even the child is, invoked into the family, that will create a better situation. And so what we at this time need to do is that we do the needful and let Krishna take control. This is for the young people. Start your family with the proper samskaras. It is very challenging. See, I remember when one of my mentees, she got married, and then she and her husband, what to do. So I said, see, if you want a child, this is what you have to do. This is what you have to do. Read this book. And, the the husband mentioned to me separately that this is very difficult. I said, yes, marriage is the most difficult ashram. The wife also came to me and said, marriage, this is very difficult. I said, yes. Marriage. I said, marriage, if you really want to be a grihasta, it's more difficult than being even a sannyasi. To be a grihasta is not a joke. So when we understand the challenges in being a grihasta, see, being a grihasta, I mean, I like to give the example of, the monkeys in Vrindavan, they literally will beat you if you are carrying a banana. Now, if you pick up a bunch of ripe banana and put in a room and lock up a monkey, put a monkey in that room, and then you tell the monkey, don't touch this banana, okay? The monkey says, yes, this is Virgin monkey. He said, yes, yes, yes. Do you believe that monkey? So, married life is also like that. You have someone that is so much endeared to you, right with you, and there are so many rules you have to follow. Not everyone is going to be able to make it. And that is why marriage itself is such a challenging thing. And to bring forth a Krishna conscious child, to invoke a Krishna conscious child into the family is another big challenge, because the rules are too much. And in most cases, it is almost impractical for us to be able to follow. So yeah, we have to do the needful and let Krishna do the rest, because we do understand that our situation is very precarious. And so we should just be practical about the challenges before us, that marriage itself is not an easy job. And to bring forth a God-conscious child through a marriage is another difficulty. To be married, anyone can marry, but to be a grihasta is very difficult. So yeah, we have cases where children are groomed very nicely from their early life. And as they're growing up, they just refuse to follow anything. I remember, I was in the Western United States, in one of these cities, and I was staying at the home of the president of the temple. He's a doctor, a cancer doctor. So they had one child, himself and the wife, they had one child. At that time, the girl was 16 years. So when I went there, the mother of the girl said that I should help to talk to the girl because she's not chanting. When she was younger, she was chanting. And so the grandmother was there, the mom was there, so I engaged the girl in some discussions. And what she told me was that she stopped chanting because she's not having any taste in the chanting. And so I asked her whether she had taste in going to school. So the mother busted out laughing. I said, hey, Mataji, why are you laughing? I'm in a discussion with your daughter. Why are you laughing? She said that I hit the nail on the head. I said, explain. She said, the child doesn't really like schooling because when she returns back, when she returns from school, she will go to the mom and start scolding the mom that, will you send me to just go and suffer and you just sit back here to eat and sleep? So the mother will answer, if I didn't go to school, would I have had the chance to marry your daughter to your father who is a doctor? So bottom line is that the challenge to rear a child in Krishna consciousness, they are just too many. So in the beginning, the child may even follow very nicely, but then as they're growing up, their independence is growing more and more, and they want to explore more and more, and they want to also learn be more practical in terms of denial and refusal or disobedience, civil disobedience or whatever. So yeah, we should just be prayerful because it's not so easy, boy. It's not so easy. I've seen cases where, the parents are even Paka devotees. They follow all of the samskaras and everything else, but the child turns into another thing else. So we need some prayers to back up everything that we do.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Maharaj. Yes.
You're welcome.
It's a very difficult topic. It's not easy.
It's a difficult job.
Unfortunately, there is no textbook for this particular subject matter because each situation is different.
Yeah.
Okay. Professor Peter Prabhu, Hare Krishna, good to see you, brother.
Hi, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Vasudeva.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hey, Samputa Prabhu. Dandavat.
Oh, sadhu. Thank you. Dandavat Gurudev. I just wanted to say thank you so much for always giving me this straight, cutting-edge style of lecture, which, it hits my mind very deeply. That's all what I just want to say. That, you hit me direct in the brain, to be straight up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It reminds me to focus on raising the kids. Let them go to school. Let them finish their... Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. So, Kavi Kanapur Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for your wonderful lecture, Maharaj.
Hey, Kavi, I need your blessings.
No, Maharaj. No, Maharaj, we are the one who need your blessing, Maharaj. You're already in spiritual world. We are deeply in the material world here. So, Maharaj, my question is that, you were saying about how to procreate in Krishna consciousness, and Prabhu has also asked some question why, some devotee children, they behave the way they behave, or sometimes pure devotee also, their children don't become devotee. But we can see in this part of the world, many of our devotee children, they later on in their life become serious in devotional service just because they are allowed to mix up with the material school, going to this material school, and in that material school, they could see what those other people can give. And because of what we have in our Krishna consciousness philosophy, at the end of the day, when they finish their school, you see that many of them, they come back to temple and become very serious in the temple. So I don't know, unlike in the Western world where they send the children to Gurukul, like we have in Mayapur or Vrindavan, and when they finish this Gurukul, they are very anxious to go and experience the other side, to go and see what is on the other side. Meanwhile, in Africa here, we allow our children to mix up, and at the end of the day, when they come out, they want to come back to the spiritual side. So I don't know what brings about this, and because I've seen that is my own observation. I've been watching very closely. We have devotees in the Mayapur community. Immediately they come out of Gurukul, they want to explore, they want to see the other side of the world. Why we have our devotee children, they mix up in this material school here where we don't give them, like kind of strong Krishna consciousness philosophy, but they see that their fathers are devotees, and immediately they finish school, they want to come back to temple. And some of us are product of that. So I don't know what, brings about some of all this kind of, conscious build-up of consciousness, Maharaj.
Thank you, Kavi. One of the things that we have to keep in mind is that everybody has a different karma. And so whether someone is born in the Western countries, or a person is born in India or in Africa, we are carrying our karma. Karma follows us from here and there. And so, if someone may be lucky, someone might even be born in a hellish situation like Prahlad, and then he becomes Krishna conscious. And so that is the exceptional mercy of the Lord. Yes, situations are such that if we are prayerful, you see, the bottom line is that if we understand that we are helpless and we are prayerful, even for our own children. I mean, look at Mathura's children. I mean, we are always proud of these children. All of them. I mean, they are engaged in Krishna. They are involved in Krishna consciousness, and so the whole thing is such that we need the mercy of the Lord. No one should think that they are very powerful and they can do anything or whatever. They are very staunch in their sadhana, and they follow all the samskaras and all this stuff. No, we should be humble at all times and be prayerful. Prayers really work. And so whatever we are doing, we should think that Krishna is the ultimate factor, and not simply by our personal efforts alone. Krishna, of course, is the strength in us. And so considering that in the world, in the material world, there are different interactions. Most of nature, they are vying for supremacy in different conditions, in different circumstances, in different locations. And so some of I'll give an example. The most of nature, they're vying for supremacy very intensely in New York. Now, it's not the same thing that you find in a place like, Calcutta. So the bottom line is that, yes, a child may be born in a particular location, and if they have good karma, if they're carrying a good karma, I mean, it's like, see, if a child, a pure devotee may be born in Africa, and we have people like that. Look at situations that we are favored with, a number of African devotees who are really very staunch in their devotion. We don't even have such people in other parts of the world or Western countries. So it is difficult to be able to figure out why a Krishna does what he does, why he allows certain things to happen, and why he doesn't allow certain things to transpire. But essentially, what we do need is this support, a devotional support system from the Lord himself. And therefore, when we are embarking on procreation, when we're trying to embark on family development, we should put Krishna in the center and be prayerful. And we might even be in a very hellish location, hellish condition, and Krishna may shower his blessings on us and protect the future of our children. It's not something that we'll be able to analyze and give a direct answer about, oh, this is the cause and that is not the cause. But, there is a diversified spiritual orientation in the world, and based on the location that the child was born and their karma, they carry a particular type of energy, and you may put them in a hellish school and still they will come out clean. Yeah. So thank you very much. In the absence of any other questions, I would like to draw out. I'd like to pray for adjournment of this meeting.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, and thank you for everything. Thank you for at least speaking to us, enlivening us, and also staying up late at your time. So at this point, please, we're going to ask all devotees to unmute, and then we chant Big Hare Krishna to express our appreciation for Maharaj's presence. For blessing.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Hare
Rama
Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama
Rama.
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Thank you very much. I miss all of you.
All
Hare
glory
Krishna
to
Maharaj.
Holiness, Bhakti Vasudeva Maharaj
You
Ki
too.
Jai.
Yeah.
Hare Hare.